Welcome to the Serrina Goodman Show, and today's show is absolutely fabulous. We have in amongst us today, well-known photographer. This is Mr. Leroy Henderson. For all your great work that you've done, over 10 solo exhibits, over 25 group exhibits, and you're here with us today. I'm so excited because we met last week, so that's how quickly we work at things.
Yeah,
When you really,
yeah.
when your spirit connects, it just makes a match
Let's just move
instantly.
on.
Yeah, and I thank you for coming into the studio with us
My
today
pleasure.
and sharing your wonderful works with us. So we're
Right,
going to
right.
go through some things, but before we get to that, I want to just talk to you a little bit about how you got started in photography. Why photography?
Photography was just an interest of mine because as a child, I used to look at photographs in magazines that my mother would bring home from places that she was a domestic. She'd bring home the
Wow.
used magazines, and I'd look at the magazine. Also, there was that stereoscopic viewer. That's a viewer that you put a card in front of the lens, and it has two images, and when you look
Okay.
through it, it looks like three-dimensional.
Oh,
And I
okay.
used to look at those things and be amazed by them, and started getting interested in photography. And then the newspaper in my hometown would have a contest every year.
Okay.
And there'd be scenic landscapes,
Okay.
beautiful stuff. But
Where's
just
your hometown?
Richmond, Virginia.
Richmond? Okay.
And it
My
was
dad
just,
was from Richmond.
oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was just something that caught my fancy. And
Wow.
as a kid, I think for my 13th birthday, I made a little money from odd jobs.
Okay.
Bought myself a Brownie Hawkeye camera
Wow.
and started taking pictures with that thing, and then everything going on. Family. I used to try to replicate stuff I'd see, like I used to make model airplanes. I'd make them airplane, put it on the ground on a piece of plywood,
Okay.
and then get up close and try to make it look like I photographed this plane at an airport or something.
Oh my
I mean, I was
God.
just playing with stuff because I just love images.
Wow.
And that's really, even then, it's an offshoot of my art background because I've been drawing ever since I was a kid. I was never discouraged. I was always encouraged to do it.
Yeah. Wow.
And I grew up in that kind of a nurturing, encouraging environment. My parents and all. And I remember I was so interested in art. A new family moved to my neighborhood. And these two brothers went to the junior high school, and they were taking art. I had never had an art class because they
Oh,
didn't have no
wow.
art class in my school, in my neighborhood.
Okay.
But my mom, being the progressive person she was, she got me into that school
That had the art classes.
that had the art class, junior
Wow.
high school. And I wanted to take art, and I found out the name of the teacher, took it on myself to look that lady's phone number up in the book and called her and asked her if I can be in her class.
Oh my God.
And she said, well, if they let you change your class, you're welcome. Miss Gray, I'll never forget her name.
Oh my God.
Lo and behold, the principal of the school, who's a friend of my family, one day came up to my class. I was in a social studies class, Miss Harris, mean old lady. He came there to escort me out of there to the art room, the
Oh
principal.
my gosh.
And she said, she protested, he's got to take this. And Mr. Booker said, that's all right, I'll take care of it. And there I was in hog heaven, down in Miss Gray's
I know
art
that's
class.
right.
And it was all from there on. And then high school,
Wow. Oh my
people like that
God.
imprint you.
Yeah, exactly.
And then in high school, there was Miss Coleman, took art classes and on the yearbook staff and all kinds of stuff. And I'll never forget, Miss Coleman showed us in plain language, she picked up a picture of Van Gogh. And,
Okay.
and her words were, this picture was done by a crazy man. So I remember that, but it made an impression.
Wow.
So from then on, and her daughter would come to visit us, and her daughter was a fine artist and was studying in Cuba and places like that.
Ooh-wee.
So all that stuff, see, that's the thing about people don't realize, growing up in the South, growing up in a segregated Southern schools and all, we had caring, nurturing teachers. So I went on to study art, went to Virginia State College, majored in fine arts ed, was very encouraged and inspired there, and was doing my art and was interested in drawing and painting and design and stuff. And finished college, went into the Army briefly during the Vietnam era. Didn't go there, by the way. But anyway, came out the Army, decided, before I went in the Army, though, I taught in Richmond briefly.
Oh, you did? Okay. And what level?
High school.
High school? Okay.
And the teacher, the superintendent of the school, when she found out I was back home from the Army, offered me my job back.
Oh, wow.
I told that lady a lie. I told her I had a job in New York. I had nothing in New York, but I was determined to come to New York.
At New York.
And I came up here, and hit the ground running. And I did all different things. Worked for the
Okay.
post office briefly, worked for the welfare department
Wow.
briefly.
What?
I was a caseworker. That drove me crazy. That nearly killed me.
I can,
The stress.
I can imagine.
But
Because
then,
people have so many needs, and needs are so you never could. That's a job that never ends.
so I went all through these changes, working at the post office, working for the welfare department, got my teaching license, and that was like, I felt I was set then. But I'm going to tell you something. Teaching it was a good place for me at the time. But when on my breaks, I'd be in the teacher's lounge, and I'm listening to young teachers like myself. They're already talking about retirement and saving for their. I said, wait a minute, this is the wrong place for me. I don't want to be around people who think like this, you know? They worried about their retirement in
Exactly,
their 20s.
in your 20s. Fast forward your whole life. Like, is
I
this
said,
all
I'm
there
out of here.
is?
I taught 3 years. I taught at a high school in Brooklyn,
Okay.
a junior high in Brooklyn, and two junior highs in Brooklyn, one in Bay Ridge of all places.
Okay, wow.
Yes, indeed.
How did you find that?
One
that
of my
experience?
grad school classmates was a supervisor in the arts, somehow in the arts, and one of her teachers was going on sabbatical, and she asked me to take it
Okay.
down in Bay Ridge, and I took it.
How was the experience?
Oh, great.
Great.
It was great.
Did you find it different than if you in Bay Ridge than in let's say
It was certainly different.
Bed-Stuy?
It was certainly different from East New York,
Wow, I can imagine.
but East New York, it was just the same. The kids were wonderful. I mean, I have a way of I like kids, and I have a way of establishing rapport with them. You know, so we got along fine.
Do you have children of your own?
Yeah, I got 2 grown sons now.
Really? Okay.
One of them is both of them are artistic, but one went
Really?
on to
Okay.
one of them went on to get his degree at Virginia Commonwealth University in communication arts. He's a fine illustrator,
Oh wow.
and he's in Atlanta now. We're trying to get him back up here. He's on his way. He's working his way back.
Okay, back to New
You know, he
York.
had to spin his wheel,
Okay.
spin his wheels a little
And
bit.
how old is he?
42,
Okay.
3 this year, 43.
Okay. And what's your other son doing?
My other son, he can't seem to find himself. He just bounces from one thing to the
Oh
other.
my goodness.
And he's talented, but you know, he's made a few bad choices in life. But he's one of these. He loves a good time.
Okay.
He's what we call a hedonist. You know,
oh.
we
Oh,
love
Lord.
the pleasures of life.
Okay. And how old is he?
He's just a year or 3 years older than his brother.
Lord, okay.
Yeah.
He's
He's
still
a hedon.
finding himself in 40s.
Yeah, still fine.
Okay.
But you know something?
It happens.
But you know
That's
something?
how
I'm
it
gonna
is.
tell you the truth. I consider myself kind of a late bloomer, but this day and time ain't got no time for late bloomers.
Not at all. Not at all. You got to get it together quick,
Yeah.
fast. We don't have time for all of
But
that.
I must tell you one thing though. I have experienced this as an artist. You're constantly bombarded with ideas, and it's very hard to sometimes to decide where you're going to put your focus.
Yeah.
Photography was a good thing for me.
Okay.
And it helped me to be creative, because when I was that's a good point. You asked me about how did I get into this. I decided that I didn't want to be living quietly in a studio doing stuff quietly. I had to be where things were going on.
Action. Okay.
I want to go out and cover what's going on. I decided I want to do this photography thing, capture what's going on in my time.
Yeah.
That sounded kind of lofty, I know. Someone want to capture stuff in my time, like who appointed me, right? But that's
Well, I mean, sometimes when we find something that's right for us,
Right,
maybe
right.
we have to point ourselves
Right,
at that particular
right.
moment.
So I went after that, but I continued to teach. I have my teaching license is still valid.
Okay.
Because I
Would you teach again?
probably maybe.
Okay.
I haven't taught for about 6 years now. Wait a minute, 2006. Oh, close to that. And then I was only teaching on a per diem basis. I kept
Okay.
my license active.
Okay.
I had a very good rapport with LaGuardia Music and Art High School.
Okay.
And that's a very fine school
It
to work
is.
in, and it's very inspiring. I used to love going there, but I transitioned into something else where I'm using my art background, and I had to let that go for a while. But I have a very good rapport still with the school. As a matter of fact, the ballerina that's on my
Yes.
card,
Yeah, we talked about the ballerina.
I let the dance program at LaGuardia use that image on their graduation poster for the dance program for this year.
Oh, wow. And that's also the same photograph that's going to be in the museum?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I let them use it there because I really had an affinity for that school. My son went to that school.
Oh,
So I let them, I said, yeah, they could use it. So they did a huge, big poster with the ballerina
Wow.
and some smaller ones. And so I decided I wanted to do that. And furthermore, the dance teacher was one of my patrons. She bought a copy of the ballerina and asked if it was okay if she used it that way. And I said, certainly, you know.
Right.
I didn't think that was a violation of the, I didn't think that would lessen the value of it
No,
in the eyes
okay.
of collectors. So she bought it. Matter of fact, she just bought another piece of mine this past week.
Wow.
It's from the protest series.
Okay, we talked about that. I want to talk about the
Yeah,
protest
the
series.
protest.
Tell my viewers what the protest series is. I know what it is,
The
but
protest series is
do we
photographs.
have any of them in there?
I don't know, but the protest is about the anti-war movement.
Yeah, if they don't see it now, if we don't have it,
And
I know that you can go online and see it. It's an awesome piece.
it was about the. I was out there in the streets documenting the anti-Vietnam War
Right.
as a veteran.
And I think, was yours the one that says the Vietnamese, there's not one about Vietnamese that called me a nigger?
This one right here said no Vietnamese ever called me a nigger, which is on an announcement for a show that I'm in right now.
Exactly. So we can, well, since when we got to that, Leroy, let's talk about this show.
Interestingly enough, that photograph, the gallery that I'm with in Lower Manhattan, when I did the protest series, that's Chuck Stewart's piece.
This is Chuck's piece, right?
Chuck Stewart, right.
Okay.
But the piece
but it's the Art and Soul.
Art and Soul is the name of it.
Vintage photographs by 4 African-American photographers.
Right.
Then this is running now.
Till March 23rd.
Right, all the way to March 23rd, so make sure you get out and see it.
Yeah, and it's
at the Keith DeLellis Gallery.
1045 Madison.
On Madison Avenue.
Yeah, that's between
Okay, so
79th and 80th.
make sure you guys check this out. All right, so we're going to go to it now so we talk about it. But if
that image you asked me about?
Yeah, the image that I was talking about was actually the one that's in this lower.
Yeah, the one says no Vietnamese. Here's a black protester with a sign saying, "No Vietnamese ever calls me a nigger."
Wow.
And that piece, the gallery did not want me to put it in the show down in Soho, the gallery that I'm with, that I have all my solo shows with.
Okay.
She thought it was a little too inflammatory. A black woman too.
Oh, really? She thought it was too
inflammatory or something.
Wow.
But this gallery uptown on Madison Avenue, the guy told me last week that he has 2 museums interested in that image.
Wow. Because this image says a lot. This image really says a lot.
You never know how people are going to receive your stuff.
Exactly.
And I'm not afraid of it.
Right.
I mean, it happened. It was about a time. It was documenting. It's an authentic statement. Mm-hmm. You know, it's an authentic statement. It's not. I didn't make that up.
Leroy, what does it feel like when you have an exhibit, you've got your work out, the lights come on, and people are walking around and they're looking and they're talking and they're chattering. Do you ever hear them when they chit-chat about your work?
Sometimes I eavesdrop.
Yeah. What does it feel like? Like as an artist.
It's basically affirming.
Okay.
And it's great to be acknowledged. I mean, 'cause a lot of people don't get a showcase.
Absolutely. And you've had a lot of them.
Some people never get a play, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get a play. And
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as I had my first show at this gallery in downtown, June Kelly Gallery, black sister who's been there 25 years.
Okay.
As soon as I got that show, she said photographers started coming out the woodwork trying to come to her want a show.
Wow.
She can't take everybody.
Absolutely.
This is my cousin, by the way.
The little boy is your cousin?
Yeah, his father had been killed in a car accident on his way to his brother's wedding.
Oh my gosh.
He had just bought this brand new.
All right, so don't put it in front of your face.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding me. It was
put it on this camera.
It
right
was
now.
and I just happened to look and I saw him with this flag and he was. It looks posed, but it wasn't totally posed. It just a moment I was able to capture.
Yeah.
But and that was in 1990. Yeah, around 1990. But I just keep my camera, as I said, with me all the time.
Yeah, because it's moments, and there are moments in life that need to be captured. Yeah.
But also, I'm always looking for images, not just documenting stuff, not just people.
Okay.
Because of my art background, I'm shooting now images around the city, just compositions of color and form.
Okay.
You know.
When did you always connect the dot that photography was a form of art? Because sometimes when I'm talking to people and I says, about photography as art, they don't connect it. They think more of painting and they don't always connect the dots. What do you think?
Interestingly enough, I wasn't thinking of it as art. I mean, maybe subconsciously, but I do remember though that it certainly was an opportunity to still use my sense of composition, layout, and design. I was
Okay.
aware. It made a difference knowing that I had that art background.
Okay.
And it certainly made a storefront church, and in Brooklyn, and I was there, and I was there with a film crew. I was doing a segment of a documentary
Okay.
for Dutch television, and I was a field producer for this film, this
Okay.
documentary.
Okay.
And I just
'Cause
had
you study film as well, right?
yeah, I studied film and TV directing. This picture right here, I had my camera there, and this was just an opportunity to me just to capture whatever I saw going on in the church. It was a lively storefront church. You ever been to a
Wow.
storefront church?
Yeah, I've seen them before.
Yeah, this was, I mean, it was amazing to see this to me.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. What year was this?
77.
In the 70s?
77.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and
It says so much.
yeah,
It just has praise. It's got, I
yeah,
mean,
that's the whole
it's
point,
got
you
praise,
know.
it's got worship, it's got faith, it's everything.
And then
it's
I like the
exhausting.
composition. And I like the composition.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the
But it
setup.
says so much. It almost, to me, like, I guess when people look at different things and they interpret differently, but sometimes you gotta do whatever circumstances in life. Sometimes you pray until you're exhausted.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? And it looks like this sister has prayed and praised until she just
Yeah.
exhausted.